So interesting stuff. Who else is here? I saw Kelly Patterson's here. The chef, Kelly Patterson. Kelly, thank you for joining us. Timothy's here. Timothy's got the math going Fahrenheit and Celsius, but you know what? After all these years of Celsius, I'm still not used to it. I still think in Fahrenheit.
Yep. Right.
Ken, thank you very much for the donation. Dave read your name there, but he didn't read your donation. But anyway, so we saw it. Thank you very much for the $20, Kenneth. We appreciate your support to the stream. Thanks for being here.
Yes, thank you, Ken. Girl Mortal is here. Matthew Pesco is here. Jermaine Ray. Roger Petsky. Welcome, guys. OTR over and Corey, welcome. Chef Matt, thank you for joining us. Trucker Harold, good to see you all here. There's Josh Berglock. Hey, Josh. Thank you for joining us. One Bar Wonder is here. JF is here. Karanjit Singh is here. OX1216. Hi there. Glad you could join us. James Cook. OTR over says get closer to the mic. Matthew's helping me with that already. That's better. There we go. Jeff W. Hey Dave. Hey Jeff, how are you doing? Chris R96. Hello. Kim Field. Hello. H Hall. Hello. Stillwater, Oklahoma. Very cool. Chef Matt, did anyone miss you? Yes, Chef, we all missed you. Of course we did. Skinny G is here. So, Jonathan Westro. Hey Jonathan from Omaha. Nice to meet Alden Town down there. I've been there a few times. Jonathan. Thanks for joining us. Kyle Jeffrey is here. Gentile is here. Sorry. It's tough when your eyesight goes when you start to get there. Sorry? So what we're going to talk about.
And before we get into that, Kyle, thank you. He saw your name, but again, he didn't see your donation. Thank you very much for the 20 beans coming right off the roof here. Thank you both, Kyle and Kenneth. Thank you both for the generosity right off the bat here before we even get into it today.
Yes, thank you, Jen. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. ABCXYZ is here. Well, News Now Adirondacks Redux is here. Thank you for joining us, sir. So let's get going on what I wanted to talk about today. And I mentioned in the live stream last week about President Biden's new infrastructure bill and $2 trillion worth of bill. I thought, oh, that's interesting, and anything that improves infrastructure is a good thing for truck drivers, good thing for trucking companies, good thing for everybody in the trucking industry. So I was a little surprised when I started seeing comments coming down the wire from a couple of the really big trucking companies, like the ATA and TCA, which is the Truckload Carriers Association, having some negative input on the new infrastructure bill. And I thought, well, that's interesting. I don't understand what they're complaining about. I better research this. So I dug into what part they could possibly be complaining about on a bill that's going to improve highways. But let me quote the Truckload Carriers Association president. His name is John Lively, and this was his comment about the infrastructure bill. The inclusion of any language jeopardizes the independent contractor business model, which has proven itself in our industry as a pathway to the American dream, is unnecessary in a plan that should be devoted to the development of trucking. A world-class state roads. I thought, what's he talking about? But so
2 pounds butcher's block pepper bacon.
The section
Center cut.
of the bill that he's talking about. And basically, what he's complaining about is that Biden kind of desire is what it boils down to. Thinks that it's a loophole where businesses, trucking companies, are taking advantage of American workers, and that's what he's talking about. Now later on in the bill, some other people explain that it's pro-union, but we're not really talking about that. What we're talking about is that President Biden sees these independent contractor business models as taking advantage of American workers. That's his problem with that. Isn't that interesting? Isn't it interesting to note that it would be such a cornerstone?
Yeah, this is definitely not heart healthy,
Trucking today,
but it is very tasty.
TCA president would complain or maybe negative.
Oh, the leeks are good for you.
To that effect. So what this boils down to is what they're talking about. This is that so many carriers now depend on drivers to buy trucks or lease trucks from the carriers. So many carriers rely on this. It is part of their business
That
model
was 1 pound.
on how they move freight. And this guy, John Bible, holds this between the American and regular
Oh,
Kyle, thank you very much for the 20. Sorry I had to wait to interject in that 5-minute monologue there. I'm glad you enjoy the content. Glad you appreciate the advice. Thank you for another $20 to Kyle.
Thank you, God. Thank you very much. Where I was going.
and my sister's excited that I'm making this. She really likes it.
Lease operator, independent contractor. If it's the American dream, it's the American dream of the carrier. It's not the American dream of some poor truck driver to become indebted to a carrier. But that's how these carriers are selling this lease operator program. They've come to rely on it now because they've made the freight so cheap that they hardly make any money hauling the freight, so they've got to lease operate these trucks to drivers and stick them with all the bills of operating the truck. That
This will make about, depending on the size of the bowl,
American dream
about 13
is
bowls.
to own your own business, be independent, make money, profitable. That's the American dream. The American dream is not being indebted to a carrier for life. But that's how they're trying to sell this independent contractor crap. And that's why these big outfits like the Truckload Carriers Association.
So I modified the original recipe to suit my own taste. Some of the ingredients here doesn't actually call for them.
Treat our workers fairly, and it's the big carrier association going, hey, don't interfere with their cash flow.
The original recipe is just potatoes, leeks,
So there's the
celery,
fight over
some carrots,
you heard me talk about once I want to talk about AB5
broth,
in California.
some
That
garlic
was the
dill.
same thing about trying to determine
It's a half and half and a little bit of white flour later on. Put the milk in now. It will curdle because of the long cook time.
The U.S. federal government is adopting language to protect truck drivers from these carriers that are leasing these trucks on these never deals to unsuspecting drivers. But when you hear this American dream, and this guy from the Trucking Carriers Association defining what he thinks the American dream is, he's just trying to sell that business. He's just trying to sell drivers on leasing trucks from carriers. And that's where I jump in. Just wait a minute. These trucking companies, to be trucking companies, will always need trucks. But that doesn't mean it's a good idea for drivers to be buying the trucks for them. If these trucking companies want to move freight, they need to do it properly. Instead of tricking drivers into long-term lease agreements and sticking them with all the bills of operating the equipment, these honorable trucking companies just buy company trucks and entitle drivers to benefits and overtime pay and all sorts of things, medical plans that
No, that's
all
right
those
up on the
big
floor.
carriers get to skip if That's my role on this. Is when these big operations have a problem with the infrastructure bill, they've got a problem with Biden standing up for truck drivers. I thought that's pretty interesting, pretty dangerous thing.
The rest of the soda, yeah. We'll save that for some beef stew in a couple of days.
Don't be fooled by this.
Like this, it'll eat like a meal.
Because if the carrier is dictating any part of what you do, you're not independent. If the carrier is taking money out of your pay state, you're not independent. And the courts are finding in favor of the drivers. Most big carriers taking truck drivers, and the cleaners, and the courts are finding in favor of the drivers every time.
Unfortunately, the soda is easier to cook than the damn bacon. I can do this in the truck, but it's a little cumbersome.
Because these carriers sell these trucks 10 times over and over. And that's exactly right. Bertha's hit the nail on the head. It's the American dream for the carriers, not for the poor souls at least. Trucker job's going to do that. It's going so well at the ports of LA, Long Beach, that I'm looking at getting my own authority. That is the way to be an independent contractor. You're running on your own authority. That is an independent contractor. Not these people that lease to Prime or whoever it is. That's what I'm going to do. The federal government now is stepping up through this new infrastructure bill.
Yeah, bad idea.
Too many guys are losing everything over this independent contractor lease deal. OTR and Corby said the best thing that ever happened for a low-cost operation or operator is all the other idiots doing lease and purchase, and you basically set the baseline for the freight prices. Interesting perspective. Hey, Fred's here. Fred Besmer, how are you doing? Now, Fred Besmer points out that the trucker here will get a bit of a shock when it comes to insurance, but yeah, that's part of the cost of doing business. If you get a good broker that understands exactly what you need, it's a little easier to help control those costs. But, you've just got to build that into your freight rate and charge it back. Patrick Jerry. Hey guys, hey Patrick, how's it going? Glad you could join us.
Okay, save the rest of this from here.
Berkeley does. Best your safety money to deal with. Exactly.
Now for some carrots.
These operators trap. So every once in a while you'll get a carrier that doesn't honestly. 9 times out of 10, it's just a scam. I watch. When I was referencing all this research, I came across a show put on by NPR, National Public Radio, a few years ago. It was called Big Rig. And it told the story of a single mom with 3 kids that was convinced by a carrier that this would be her route to financial freedom. So she went on one of these lease operator programs online. I encourage everyone to go on the internet. Find this show from NPR called Big Rig and have a listen to that. And it's typical of what happens. It's horrifying. It's awful. So
Usually the cook time for this is about 10 hours, but I don't have that long, so I'm going to do about half that and turn the temperature up.
It's one of thousands and thousands of stories like that. So I guess what I'm getting at is that, and I said it before, trucking companies need trucks no matter what. But be very, 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 very careful before you buy one for it. That's not the game. That's not a good idea. It's one thing to be an owner-operator, independent of the carrier, and you can just carry as you see fit, as your needs, call for. But you do not want to lease a truck from the carrier that you're working for. Because then you're trapped with that carrier and they can do almost anything to you. And that's what I'm cautious. Ironwood Workman says the insurance companies are a nightmare as well. I can't argue with that. The insurance is part of the deal, and they can be awful. They can be really good. My understanding is that OOID offers insurance coverage through a carrier now. And, I certainly trust the OOIDA. I'd encourage anyone to look up what the OOIDA had to offer in the way of insurance coverage and terms. At least you should be careful.
Gotta run away.
James Davis says, just wait till they start the mileage tax. It's going to hurt. There's another interesting thing that's going on. They said they were going to start this taxing by the mile, although they've been doing that since 1922. That's what fuel tax is. So what they're really going to do is just try to put on more tax. But they said initially, well, we can't charge fuel tax anymore with all these electric
So
trucks.
these for us.
So eventually
Stew.
they're going to tax trucks because they won't be buying fuel for electric. So they're trying to introduce this Petco Park is trying to introduce new taxation for it. He wants to start immediately. He's not going to wait for the electric trucks anymore. He wants to start it like now, so everyone will be paying super tax plus mileage tax. Ouch.
And some dill, garlic.
Dramatic grit. I did a lease purchase, survived easily.
Good quality carrots and peas.
Now I just pick up the roads, the truck is paid.
So putting the soup together is pretty simple.
Dramatic grit. I'm glad to hear that word. Schneider's, they're a huge carrier, but it's their job.
Personally,
So
I don't bother training.
surprised to hear that Schneider has an honest program, and that he actually ended up owning the truck, and I'm glad that we did. That's
Okay.
good. And there are honest
And,
carriers out there.
You can use any type of broth you
I'm
want,
just
but
saying,
in this case, I went
why
with
would
the
you change
organic
the
vegetable.
Don't-
I like the
don't
flavor a
make
little
it
better.
condition of the job like what so many carriers do says, well, we have got no openings for company drivers, but you could be a lease operator and they get guys that way. Don't fall for that. Just if they have no company driver positions, walk away. And they'll have to change the tune.
That.
Roger's saying only about 5 to 6% of that bill is for infrastructure. The rest is pork. Yeah, Roger, you're right. And I read it too. The highest I've heard is 20% of that bill actually being about infrastructure. But that just seems to be the way they do things in Congress. They come up with this bill with a title, and then you stick everything else in there on top so it goes through. But yeah, that's true. It's not the infrastructure bill. The majority of it is about infrastructure. It's funny how that works. Michael Bueller, hey Michael, how are you doing? I think insurance is going because people trying to get a piece. What was it I read recently? Basically, this push to increase the minimum payment from 1 to 2 million.
It's on there.
Pennsylvania senator whose family
Damn it. Damn, man.
So doesn't that make sense? That was initially what I heard about this new insurance thing. Jack, everybody relax on this, Jack. Thank God. We're relaxed.
Well, there's absolutely no doubt it was sealed. So they put it on there with super glue. Like I said, I'm a garlic lover, so I go kind of heavy on it.
Yeah, Steve. Oh, that's a great one. Sir, I have a question to ask. Drive a 5-ton truck for my boss, but I don't have the experience driving a 5-ton. It's loaded with 36 by the way. The expense for using the program is real close on. If he's already got the job, you can take it. Very, very careful and very, very cautious. Don't assume anything is going to be. I would just go with it and be incredibly careful. So sometimes that's the best way to do it. Kyle Morris, let the carrier buy the owner rate, plain and simple. I agree. That's the best way to go about it. You just there's so many things that carriers have to supply. medical benefits, overtime,
Potatoes.
Everybody should be getting paid overtime. So anything contract.
Hold on.
Very good. Of the 8% minimum wage in the road, the first time I paid hearing, you have to do that. Really have to do that. Because my first thing is to be a royal because I'm glad to do it here for me. That's good. Sean, I have a friend that's buying a used Toyota for $50K and leasing on it anything. My opinion of that is, wow, that's pretty risky. Amazon has developed a reputation already for pushing drivers past the hours of service and doing no matter what it takes to go over the roads. Really doing it for good reason. That's their reputation is developed. And they're already imported the Christian small trucking companies over the hours of service. So meet the requirements for Amazon. I'm leery of Amazon. I know they've got a ton of freight. I know they do. But, they're like the Walmart on the block. And cheap is the name of the game with those things. So I'd be very careful. I'm not sure, if he's buying the truck for $60K from a bank, and he can lose the little car because it's worked out, that might not be too bad. He can try it and see if it works. I sure would lease it for anything.
Part of preparation. I'll talk about different type of preparation, different video. But let's just say, it's a kind of gross subject. A lot of people seem to be doing that nowadays. What, poop bags? One guy's talking about, took a dump in the client's property and just left it there for him. He didn't have a porta potty. Don't be one of those drivers. There are options.
Lease purchase is slave labor. The company just wants to save money by passing the truck payments on to the driver. That's how I see it. Because the cost of operating.
Seen one guy in a Flying J in Aurora,
And I agree with you.
Colorado. Stand beside his truck, taking a pee, swinging in the wind. It's like, come on, really? The truck stop is only like 30 yards away.
5 or 6 different guys that lease the same piece of equipment. One guy will drop out after 6 months, and they'll release it to some other driver. And they'll have it 5 or 6 times. Meanwhile, they're charging $1,000 a week or something. That truck would pay for itself 4 times over. And the carrier is pocketing.
Yeah, you want to cook the bacon and mix together, get the bacon rendered down some because it will not cook properly here. You end up making yourself sick.
And there's so many of them out there that are
Oops.
So that's what I'm cautioning here. There are times to get your own truck, but the market is so shaky these days anymore. I'd be very, very, very careful. And if you want to own the truck, I would finance it to the benefit.
Everything here except for the bacon is very healthy. Like I said, you get to season it to taste. Like everybody tell I'm kind of a garlic nut. But garlic is very healthy for you. I think I mentioned that in the last video. Helps with heart attacks, strokes, blood pressure. That and it keeps the vampires away. And my mom joke around. We like garlic and onions so much, especially garlic. Any vampire bites us, we'll be in for a rude awakening. got a good wash.
He's doing a pretty good job of it, but I think it's coming in an awful expensive. And I've read some of the conditions in the Amazon warehouses that are just brutal. Just brutal. The way it treats people. So I'm a little scared of anything connected with it.
Okay, there's that. Yeah, during my time off, I stay here with my brother-in-law and sister. They give me a room. So I feed them. They're not used to eating like this. They like it, but it's not something they're used to.
Jonathan, thank you very much.
Hopefully that's starting to look pretty good.
The majority of the time, drivers may pay out the lease, the balloon payment, and the carrier keeps the truck when the truck is resold for 100% profit.
Jonathan, thank you for the donation. And yes, you're absolutely right. And as Kathy points out to me, that some of these carriers are getting money leasing equipment when they do all the freight. And that's because they're drilling the freight rates so cheap on the computer because negative that they needed another source of income. And that's when these very big carriers got into truck leasing because the truck drivers are virtually legally unprotected. So the big carriers are taking them to pass through dealers.
Rick Jockey coming in with a 20 feed. I drive for a mid-sized carrier that has a large Amazon UPS contract. I can tell you from experience that Amazon schedules their loads so tight that drivers have no time to stop and use the toilet 9 out of 10 times. Thank you very much for the 20 feet.
So goes Amazon, huh?
Thank you for that input. That was, and thank you for the donation.
Move it forward a little bit. Give you a better idea what it looks like.
I've been getting from guys pulling the Amazon trailers.
There you go, Dave. See yourself.
Push guy, and he's determined to be DPS and FedEx and everything with their own game by offering them crazy delivery charges. I don't get crazy 15 times anyway because of what the truck is.
If you want to get the bacon, the window down some.
Thank you. Good job for putting that in.
Joe Jones with the 5. Thank you very much for that, Joe. Burlington Motor Carriers got functions for scaling back freight a few months before a term of loan and rebuilding trucks to retail. Thank you.
Thank you for the donation. What a huge
I can do this in a truck, but it is kind of like, especially because of this part right here.
all day long. In fact, that happened to a friend of ours, Wayne Hunter. Years and years ago, he used to truck from the carrier, and then when he just put it off, they offered a book for New York, and then came up with a phony ticket saying that he got the thing on with the lease and computer motor stuff. But, pretty trips like that. Just to get talking to friends of ours. Really significant. They're doing dirty stuff like that. It's good that we know our friends. So thank you. Thank you for that.
You mentioned just a short while ago that the reason they're going for leasing trucks and making money on trucks is because the freight isn't paying that well. I think that's half the story, but the other half of the story is the fact they're just seeing opportunity. It's just a weak spot, and they've just been going for it and getting away with it for an awful long time. So just don't give them an opportunity.
Well, she's got these exactly. Some of these guys are just birds and greedy bastards. And they'll do anything for a profit.
I was thinking about doing voiceover.
Exactly what happened.
My brother-in-law typically sits in the chair watches TV, so I'm going to have to mute the audio. And he's outside mowing the grass, so I can do a little bit of talking. That's a cover part of that preparation. Instead of taking a poop on a shipper's property, try using something like this. A little bit of black tape, seal it up, put toilet paper, then throw it, tie it up in a plastic bag, put it in a laundry trench bag, store it in the pilot truck stop. Garbage bag. Garbage can. That's a much better option.
And it's good to see that the government is finally recognizing what a problem it is.
And if you've been driving a truck long enough, although you've caught food poisoning, botulism, salmonella, you've had the flu, there's no way that you're in a sleeper berth, you're going to get dressed and make it to the bathroom before you explode. So it's best to have something like that on the standby. Is it a preferable way to do things? No. Ideally, it happens if you're at home. But how often does that happen in the long haul?
Pneumatic grip makes a comment. You have to treat the carrier the way that they
The people that do that are just kind of disgusting. They throw it on the side of the road, pee bottles. But come on. Like when you're on the road, you want the first impression that people give the company that you work for and the industry itself. Wondering some Walmarts and Kmart's, well, Kmart, yeah. But you get the picture. Don't want you to stay in their lots anymore because of people like that. It's not just truck drivers, it's also campers, RVers, the homeless in general.
Don't let these mega carriers away with fooling you into thinking that you're going to be independent, because there's nothing independent.
It's kind of a big problem.
You want the American dream, you've got to do it for yourself. Those carriers don't hand it to you. Carriers don't do things because they're helping drivers out.
Yeah, that's good nicely.
Plain and simple.
This will be ready in about 5 hours. We're about 6:30, 7 o'clock-ish. The last thing you do is, in a bowl,
The chef not.
dump in about a pint of half and half. Mix in about half a cup of flour. And then during the last 30 minutes of cooking, basically you dump that into the slope crock pot. To give it additional flavor, give it that nice creamy texture.
Should have to buy a job or lease a truck. I think American workers
That is just not right.
have rights, and these big carriers should respect them rather than trying to come up with workaround solutions to get money from them and not pay for their own equipment. That's what I'm saying.
got a comment from OTR over in Corgi. So Dave, other than talking smack about big companies, what's your strategy for a new owner-operator getting into the trucking industry? Because otherwise, it's just a cry party.
Well, good question. Leasing a truck from a carrier is not the only way to get a truck. You can have a good credit rating, you can go to a bank or a financial institution and just use your credit and buy a truck or lease or purchase a truck outright from a separate entity other than a carrier. And that is the way to go, because that way you're not tied to a carrier. You can move the truck, then you're truly in business. You can lease your truck on with carrier A, and in 6 months' time, if they're not feeding you the freight that you need to survive, you can move to carrier B, and you can just keep working that way. And that's a true owner-operator. And real owner-operators have survived for years in North America, and I did it myself for years.
Make sure you
Works
want
just fine.
crock pot
You've got to be the one running your
bags.
business. And if you've got a carrier dictating to you, and you don't like the terms, you've got to be able to move or change carriers.
A little bit of extra
If
water.
the carrier is financing the truck, you can't do that. So that is not a business scenario. That's a you're under the thumb scenario. So that's what you want to avoid. Go to a separate financial institution, make your own arrangements to get a truck. Don't lease it from a carrier.
I said this will make about 13 servings.
Nowadays, the American dream is to keep
It's like a
just enough
meal.
in debt.
So you're not going to walk away from
You
this
feel
soup
like you can get ahead, but you don't
hungry.
want to. Christian Nelson.
Unless you're hungry at a giant or something
Maybe
like
the
that.
sad
It just
truth
has
of that,
a
Christian,
massive
but
appetite.
the bottom line is the American dream is not to be so far into debt that you
Okay.
deal it again. And that's what's happening with these lease
A little
operators.
flour.
And that's what you don't
This one.
want to do.
I like
That
this.
is not the American
They make
dream.
small batches, excellent quality. Very tasty.
Huh.
Okay, and that is it. I just have to start it
Next
up,
dream
let her
after
cook.
owning a truck is to turn into a carrier. And some guys do that, and sometimes that works out really well. Kathy and I did that ourselves for a few years, and that was a learning
Okay, Dave,
experience. It was
Kathy,
all right.
Nick,
It
there you
wasn't
go.
the way we
That is
chose to stay.
the potato leek and bacon soup.
It was an
Well, at least the
experience.
start of it. I'll take a picture of it and send it
Robert Daniel,
to you when it's finished.
Dave, I was wondering what you think of a dedicated
It'll look a
lane
little
from
different.
Allentown,
It'll look
PA to
more
Madison,
white like
Tennessee, and
that.
Have to run the mileage, Robert.